There's a saying that goes, when you're accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. And no one feels more oppressed in American society than the far right. From their point of view, they are victims under constant attack. They see refugees seeking asylum as an invasion of our borders. They see people saying happy holidays as waging a war on Christmas. They see multicultural tolerance as an attack on American values. Equality is very threatening to those who are accustomed to privilege and power, and it's easy to understand why. Imagine that your entire life you've been playing a board game where you never lose. And suddenly people start talking about switching to another game so everyone can be on a level playing field. That will probably be very scary for you, especially if you don't know how to play any other game and you've always taken your wins for granted. This is how we end up with a very successful judge who thought his life was ruined if he didn't get to sit on the Supreme Court. This is how we end up with a billionaire president who was being handed $200,000 a year at 3 years old but still feels like the world is unfair to him. Portraying yourself as a victim is powerful for several reasons. First, playing the victim is a very easy way to avoid taking responsibility. Second, by blaming others, you are redirecting anger and frustration away from yourself and onto someone else. And third, playing the victim flips the dynamic between bully and victim. Suddenly, the anti-fascist protesters getting run over by cars aren't the victims. The real victims are the very fine people who can't march with swastikas in peace. Suddenly, women who've been sexually assaulted aren't the victims. The real victims are the men who now have to be held accountable for the way they treat women. Studies show that there's a relationship between victims becoming bullies and reverting back to being victims. This would explain why someone like Trump can be a bully 1 minute and act like a victim the next. Unfortunately, this type of ideology has spread throughout the conservative movement like a virus, and it's not going away anytime soon. So what can you do? In a nutshell, call it out when you see it. A question as simple as, do you see yourself as a victim, might be enough to spark some self-awareness. Second, acknowledge that victimhood is a real feeling and experience, and could very well be justified. The challenge is to accurately identify the obstacles in society that hold people back, instead of scapegoating a vulnerable population or blaming someone less fortunate for our problems. The good news is that victim mentality never gets you anywhere. Except maybe the presidency. So as long as we keep moving forward, people with victim mentality will continue to avoid responsibility, which means they won't be responsible for the better future we can build together. Peace.